I'm a K-I-N-G, baby, I'm all you need. In the off-white Rari, baby, we run the streets. I'm a K-I-N-G, Westside royalty. I'm a K-I-N-G, baby, that's all you need. I'm a K-I-N-G, baby, I'm all you need.
Welcome back, everybody. You're on my podcast, Get It? I am your host, Steven Basita. And you can also find us on the Social NOSTRA network. We are a fresh new network of talented creators and shows on Roku and Instagram, as well as YouTube, Facebook, Spotify, Apple iTunes. We're on everything. But we got our new Roku channel up and running and get one on the Social NOSTRA network. Just such an exciting time to be part of this network as it continues to expand and grow at a rapid pace here. And my guest is Nick Ellersick, and he is a former client of mine. I've trained his sister who played softball in college, his brother who played lacrosse. He's got a big family with a lot of siblings. I've trained a lot of them, as well as both of his parents. So we're going to dive into his story. And he's a young entrepreneur hitting the scene now in California, really making some waves for himself. So without further ado, how you doing, Nick?
Doing good. How about yourself?
Doing good, man. I'm excited to be here with you today. And so I don't want to waste time. I just want to dive right into your story. And, you know, a couple things that I really admire about you, and really one of the big reasons why I wanted to get in this with you is because, you know, I've got some learning disabilities. I'm dyslexic and I have ADD. And there's so many kids out there and so many people out there with different learning disabilities. Mm-hmm. And people think that, well, if you have a learning disability, it's a huge hindrance for you. And I actually think it's a blessing, because when
I think the same too.
Because you have to learn so many more skills to be able to be successful. So you also have learning disabilities, which I want to touch on really quickly here. And I want you just to tell us about before I get into all the questions. So please tell us about your stuff that you're dealing with.
Yeah. So I have dyslexia and ADHD and I think ADD, but I had to fight through school with that. And like, it really helped me with school, actually, like, because I had to over prepare for tests. I was in the library studying when people were out at parties. Like my college buddies, they were out at parties, like doing Taco Tuesdays when I was in the library studying, writing down notes, stuff like that. You just over prepare, and you just have to work hard, and it helps with life too. Like I don't know, that's what I like. Yeah.
So ADD, ADHD, dyslexic.
Yeah. No,
one more than me.
Yeah.
All right. So
I just talk a lot, so that's good. Like it's a good thing. Like it's helped me. Like now, like this past year, I think it's been a blessing. Like I've gained my confidence. Like I've watched this show, this podcast, Andy, it's with Real AF with Andy Friselis. I watched his confidence podcast, and I was tearing down my managers. The next day, like I was standing up to them like crazy, like my confidence gained from just one podcast. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, I'm thankful for that. Like just the continuing, learning thing. And I've talked about it a lot on my podcast. Like, everybody should be constantly learning, because you learn until the day you die, and you're still gonna have more to learn. And it's so critically important for entrepreneurs to be constantly investing in self growth stuff, because if you don't, you're gonna get stagnant. And you're gonna pass by.
You're gonna be stuck in the mud. And like, and going back to that, like I read 10 pages a night of one book. I'm reading Get Rich Quick. I don't remember the name off the top of my head. But,
Get Rich Quick?
Yeah, Get Rich Quick. Yeah, that one.
Okay.
And then there's this book I called it Power List. I use it every single day. It's by Andy Friselis.
Okay.
So I do like five, I do 5 tips, like 5 things I have to do each day.
Yeah.
And you just check them off. The things help me so much. And if I don't do each, I make sure I do each one before I go to bed. If not, it's a loss that day. And that's helped me a lot. So
okay.
That and reading. Reading is the key, and listen to podcasts. Listen to podcasts on your walks. Like that saves you. Like I walk every single morning. I do cardio. I lift. I do that every single morning.
Good. So let's get into your journey. So you got through college. Where'd you graduate from?
I graduated from Concordia University, Irvine. I was the student manager for. Actually, let's go back to Servite High School. Let's go. So I went to Servite High School in Anaheim, the best school. Anybody living in Southern California who is in Anaheim, who's thinking about going to high school, 100%. I'm doing marketing for Servite right now, but I don't care because they're the best school in the nation. But
good.
But go to Servite High School. Your kid, your son will learn more about leadership than the education there. I swear to God on that, Steven. That school has built me as a leader, and I thank him for that.
All right, so you went to Servite High School, graduated there.
Servite High School, I was a student manager there, but with Coach Morris, John Morris, and assistant coach Aaron Mobley, who teaches there. They both teach there, and coach. And then I was a student manager there, and then Coach Ammon at Concordia technically recruited me to be a student manager, but that's another deal.
Good. So then you went over to Concordia University, where you're.
I worked for Concordia University, Irvine. Yeah, I helped them over there for my 4 years. I tell you stories. Student manager. Once I stay up till 4 a.m. doing laundry for a playoff basketball game, like crazy stuff. Like we were playing Point Loma at Cal Baptist for a tournament. Coach Ammon wanted black uniforms the next game. Stay up till 4 a.m. washing black uniforms. Didn't get out of the arena till like 12. So
yeah,
it's just a testament to hard work. You know, people don't put in the hard work nowadays, and it's just hard work, day in and day out.
So let's get into it. So you graduate college, and then where do you start off in your journey? And let's just take us through where you start off, why you started that where you started, and then where you are now and what you're doing and what your goals are here. Okay,
so I graduated from Concordia University, Irvine. Didn't know if I wanted to get my master's or not. Thankfully now I did not get my master's at Concordia University, Irvine. So I got a job. So I applied for jobs. I was looking for jobs. Like I was still working at Trader Joe's. And then I was on team. So I have a mentor. His name's Chris Jones. He works for the Florida Panthers, and he was working with me a little bit. I reached out to him through the site called the Clubhouse, like sports clubhouses, like for sales jobs. And so I reached out to him. I didn't want to get into sales. I wanted like equipment manager type stuff, like operations. And he said, get a foot in the door job. Like get your foot in the door and then you'll build up from there. So I was looking, I went on, and like me and Chris had like multiple calls, and like he's super great. I'm connecting with him next week. Great guy. If you have the chance to work with him, work with Chris Jones, the best guy, like best mentor. So he helped me a little bit. And I was looking on Teamwork Online. That's a site where you can find jobs, sports jobs online. They have all sorts of jobs. They post them. Like that's where all the teams post their sales, their marketing, all that sorts of jobs. they're looking for.
Right.
And so I was looking around, and so the Angels had a grounds crew job. So I'm like, oh, it's perfect. Angels are like 15 minutes from my house, like down the street. I applied and I got the job. I was so stoked. Like that's just a testament to hard work too. I worked hard for that. Like I was going on calls like with Chris, going like I would also, one thing for all entrepreneurs out there and anybody out there, networking is your net worth. Like that's your key. Your network is your net worth. So I would suggest doing 5, like just on LinkedIn, like just write 5 messages a day on LinkedIn. And that's your, like I still do it. Seem like I do 5 messages a day.
Okay.
On LinkedIn. And so I would do that. I'd be reaching out to people, sending them my resume, telling them to fix, like sending them like if they can look at it, like stuff like just stuff like that. And so I submitted my resume. I was stoked getting the job. Like I worked hard for that. Like I'm gonna be working there this next year.
Okay. So how long have you worked for the Angels for?
What?
How long have you worked for the Angels for?
Oh, I've worked there for just this was my first season. But
okay. You're going into your second season now.
Going into my second season this year, yeah.
Okay.
And then yeah, so I got that job. It's a fun job. I do I clean the bullpens. I've seen a lot of the visiting team, stuff like that. You really get to see like what the players actually do. Like they do work out, like they do take care of their bodies, like stuff like that. And then you get a lot of behind the scene access, which is really cool.
Okay. So you got that job, and then what did that job once you got in with the Angels, you started to get spurred on to do some other stuff. So what did you start to do for yourself?
So I started to like really think about like what I should do in my future, like stuff like that. Like I remember I had a call with you, and like I was talking with an idea of like what I should do with my life kind of thing. Yeah. And that really helped me a lot too. And so
I help people. For all those that are wondering, I help people with their lives. I get people moving in the right direction.
Yeah.
I'll provide some clarity. So you got some clarity, and so you started to get into your own stuff. So what was the first thing you started to do for yourself?
So I started like researching stuff like researching like on like an idea I had, like it was going to be a t-shirt company. It was gonna be like say freedom, like a freedom t-shirt, stuff like that. But I was like, no, I want to do that. I'd rather have a bigger voice. And so I was thinking, I did my master's at Grant Cardone University online. Okay. Best decision of my life. I can tell you that.
For those who don't know who Grant Cardone is, Grant Cardone is a business entrepreneur who has 6 businesses. Each one of them makes 7 figures or more. He is a world-renowned speaker. He's a publisher or author of several books, one of it being the 10X. Actually, I have it in here somewhere in my office. But 10X is, here we go, the 10X rule. So the 10X rule, for those who are watching, I'll show right here, the 10X rule by Grant Cardone. It's actually one of the 3 most influential books I've ever read as an entrepreneur. And I recommend it to everybody. The 10X rule is truly a book where it doesn't really beat around the bush. It just kind of gives you an insider look of how successful people are successful. And it's a generalized rule, right? It's not specific to any one thing, but a lot of it is very helpful. There's this list I actually wrote down on my sheet. He has habits of the super successful. There are 32 things. I wrote them all down. I read them every couple of weeks, maybe a month, but it really is helpful in moving yourself forward. And again, talking in the beginning about continued education and constantly growing and evolving. That is definitely one of the most, influential books. The most influential book I've ever read was by Carol Dweck, which is Mindset. And that was my top one. And then the other one that I really found impactful in my life is The One Thing.
Yeah, I've read that. Yeah, that one's
really
good.
made a huge impact in my life as well. But those are definitely my top three. So you're talking about Grant Cardone and going to and wrapping up at his business university.
Yeah.
The guy has a plethora of knowledge, and he is
yeah,
trying to be super successful. He's definitely one that has definitely done it. And he has quite an interesting story, being a drug addict. Being out of rehab, being in prison, getting out in his mid-20s, and then really focusing on turning his life around.
Yeah.
But all right, so you did that, and then after the Grant Cardone University, then what'd you get into?
And then so I did that, and his foundation is gonna be one of the foundations I give to. That guy's amazing. And so after that, I was thinking, like, I was listening to a bunch of podcasts, Charlie Kirk podcast, Andy Friselis, Ed Milet. They're like, people need to have a bigger voice. And going back to Trader Joe's, I actually got censored by by my manager. I was wearing a blue mask, a blue line mask to work. I told me to take it off. And so if I back then, I didn't have any confidence back then. I was like, all right, I'll take it off. But now if I wore that back on, I wouldn't take it off. I wouldn't.
So why did they ask you to take it off?
Because it was company policy, stuff like that. But
what was the company policy that you just had to wear a plain mask? You couldn't have anything on it?
I guess it couldn't have anything on it. But being me, I wanted to put my voice and stand up for our cops. Man, they do a lot for us. Yep. And so being that, I was like, oh, why not help people, and why not start a self brand, and so that's one reason why I started my self brand, is to be a voice for people. Because
so I got
bullied my whole life, and
what's that brand?
It's myself. It's my brand.
All right, what is it?
It's the Nick Ellersick brand.
Okay, all right. People don't know
Nick Ellersick brand.
All right.
So I'm sticking up for people on my social media. I'm posting nonstop conservative content. Obviously I just got First Forum. I just got a partnership with them. So I post exercise content. I post conservative content to help people with having a bigger voice for conservatives, and what it means to be an American.
Okay.
And just stuff about my self brand. I post on Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat is my backstage info. I think this is the best idea that I can come up with.
So what is the business that you're building now? You're in a business, you're building your own business. What is it?
Yeah. So I'm building a self brand to speak out for people. I'm going to be starting to do lives soon, Instagram lives. I just got submitted for VidSync, so we can do calls, stuff like that.
And you just spoke at Servite too, didn't you?
Yeah, I just spoke at Servite High School for the basketball team. I talked about winning the day, a tough mindset, and goal setting.
Okay.
Those three keys are key to a basketball season, I think.
Okay.
Because you need to have a goal, which is your championship.
Yep.
And you gotta have individual goals.
Yep.
That's gonna be your that's what the players work on to get to their championship. And a tough mindset, they need to come into practice every day being tough, or they're not going to reach their goals.
Right. Okay, good. All right, so you've got the mindset stuff, and so as you're starting to develop and build your brand here, and of course getting into you know what you were saying, which is you want to be a bigger voice. You want to be a bigger voice for those who need a voice.
Yeah.
People have been bullied. You have been bullied.
Yeah.
You want to be someone that influences people in a positive way. And so your brand being the Nick Ellersick brand. What's your next couple of moves here? What are you doing?
Well, I'm looking at getting into motivational speaking. If any coach at any high school, any college, AAU, anything like that needs a motivational speaker, I'll be willing to come in and speak.
Okay.
And I'll give you my phone number and you can send it out as well.
Okay. Well, if people want to contact you, what's the best way to contact you?
It's going to be through cell. It's 714-469-5789.
Okay. And what's your Instagram so they can contact you through that if they want to?
It's going to be Nick lowercase n underscore Ellersick with a lowercase w, because I always win.
Nice, I like it. And so as you're going through the process of doing all these different things that you're doing now, and you know, in the time I've known you, you've had a few different balls that you've been juggling and moving forward, and it seems like you're having a lot of great progress in each of those things.
Yeah.
So what's your main focus going to be? What's your main business that you want to promote and build and run with?
I think it's gonna be the motivational speaking, because I love the brand advertise, the marketing and all that stuff, but I'd rather want to help people, help my community out, and just change lives. Because in the end, like, we need leaders right now. We need leaders badly. We need winners, and I want to help. I want to help get winners and stuff like that.
That's good. So really quickly, also just going back to your baseball stuff. So do you actually meet a lot of the professional baseball players?
Yeah. I actually connect with someone on LinkedIn too. They're really nice. You can just they respond to you. Like, they're just ordinary people. Like,
they are
just ordinary people. Like people don't get that. Like, oh, they're baseball players. No, they're just ordinary people.
Well, that's the
same with basketball players
for professional athletes in general. People
put
them on a pedestal, and they really are your average day person. They've got the same struggles as everybody else. They might make some more money than we do, and they might be a little more famous, but they're in that same boat. So, all right, what's your message for today? What do you want to wrap up with, my friend?
Well, I just want to wrap up with, we need more leaders in our life, and I'm just here to build leaders. So just feel free to reach out to me. And another thing, going back to entrepreneurship, these 2 months are your key right here. Like, you gotta be aggressive right now. Like, this is your time to get after what you want to get after. I'm already making moves for next week. Like, this week I'm making moves for next week to have momentum for going into 2022.
I agree with you. I think that during the holiday season, a lot of people pump the brakes on stuff.
Yeah.
And that is, if you want to be a hustler and grinder, you want to make moves and you want to get ahead of people, this is the time to do it for sure.
Yeah.
And having had several businesses myself, I know the holiday season is the time to get after it, because everybody else wants to definitely relax and enjoy things. Yeah. There's definitely a space for that, but if you're trying to make a name for yourself and you're trying to be in that top category of your industry, then you do really need to work hard. This is definitely the time to do it. So
definitely work
hard.
Man,
I really appreciate you being on here and talking with us. Again, I'm your host, Steven Basita. This is my podcast, Get It, and we are on the social NOSTRA network. Check us out on our Roku channel, as well as Instagram. And we are a group of creative content creators. And there's a vast majority of all kinds of stuff. So check us out. Thank you so much for being here. Thanks, Nick, for being my guest today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Looking forward to coming back, too.
Looking forward to having you, man. We'll see you really soon.